Hey there, this is Alicia from Piano TV, and I just wanted to let you know that I have some classes that are open for registration. These are piano classes that are based on level, and I'll explain that in a moment. And they're going to be open for until basically the end of the month, the beginning of September, and then classes are going to start in September. Basically, think of it's a semester type schedule. We're going to have classes that go from September to December, and then those same classes are going to reboot after the holidays and go from January to April with the summer off. So if you register for a class now in August, it's going to carry you all the way through April. It's a longer running class. You're going to be with the same group of people. You're going to have access to feedback all the way along, and you're going to have 26 lessons that you're going to get to have resources, materials, video recordings of, and so on. So it's a big commitment, but it's also, I think, a really valuable thing if you're looking to really upgrade your piano skills, upgrade your ability to read music, learn, etc. So let's break this down a little bit. So I have, let me count. I think I have 6 different piano classes, but I might be doing bad math, and I'll just kind of break this down. I have 2 preparatory level classes. I have preparatory A and preparatory B. So that's going to be CPPA, Complete Piano Path A, Complete Piano Path B. Each of these runs a year. So you do A level for 26 lessons, and then the next year you start B level, 26 lessons, then you graduate to grade 1, 26 lessons, graduate to grade 2, 26 lessons, and then grade 3 is 26 lessons. So that's 5 classes, but I've actually got a 6th class that is brand new. I'm starting this one this year. It's an accelerated preparatory level class. So the A level and the B level class takes 2 years to complete, 1 year each. But I've also created an accelerated preparatory class, which is A and B in 1 year. So it's twice as fast, basically. Again, I've never run it before, but there are people who need to take a slower approach to learning music. And then there's people who really maybe need more of a review, or have learned music in the past, or are really fluent in another instrument or something like that, where a faster paced version makes a lot more sense for them. So those are all my piano classes, and I've got web pages for each individual class. So what I've included on every web page is recordings of people, actual students who are playing pieces from the classes, so you can kind of get a sense of what we're learning. I give full detailed lesson plans, so if you want to see just kind of like a brief rundown of what all 26 lessons entail, you'll see that. But I've also included a PDF on each page of a checklist, and the checklist is the detailed breakdown of all the concepts that we're working on in each individual lesson. I don't want there to be any ambiguity. I don't want you to not know what you're signing up for when you sign up for a class. So I've tried to make all that information just really easily available on each individual web page. So it can be challenging, I think, for some people to determine which class to join and what level they're at if they've been playing for several years. So I think a good way to think about it is using method books as a template, because a lot of people have worked with method books, and the most common ones are going to be the Alfred ones, the Piano Adventures ones. Some people will use the John Thompson ones, and so on. There's different ones, but typically the A-level piano class that I teach, Prep A, corresponds with the first lesson book or method book. So it'd be Alfred 1, Piano Adventures 1. And actually, in my lessons, I incorporate those on the side for anyone who wants to work with those simultaneously. Prep B corresponds with the second adult method book of, Alfred's Piano Adventures, etc. And then it diverges a little bit once we get to grade 1. So in grade 1, I start teaching along the side Piano Adventures 3A. And then in grade 2, I teach Piano Adventures 3B. And then in grade 3, I teach Piano Adventures 4. So the Piano Adventures books serve as a really good reference for the grade levels, although I find them to be slightly easier. They're like a little bit of supplemental music that we do on the side, but it is a little easier than the grade level itself. So I find if you're doing grade 3, the level 4 Piano Adventures is easier, generally speaking, than the grade 3 repertoire. But it's still in the ballpark and gives you a good sense. If you're doing the Alfred's adult piano book methods and you're on the 3rd method book, that would be roughly equivalent to grade 1-ish of piano. So if you finish some of these method books, that would give you a pretty good idea of the leveling. You can also think about what level you would fit into based on how many years you've been playing. And you want to make sure you're thinking about this in like, how many years have you been seriously playing? As opposed to just sort of like dabbling here and there. Like we're talking 30 minutes a day for a regular amount of time kind of thing. So if you've been playing for a year, Prep A is basically a year. Prep B is 2 years of practice. Grade 1, 3 years of practice. Grade 2, 4 years of practice. Grade 3, you're at about 5 years of practice. So those are your ranges. Again, the preparatory levels I think can be moved through faster, and some students will be able to do grade 3 piano after only like 1 year of practice. I've seen it happen. It's entirely possible, but again, a lot of this comes from do you have like a natural instinct with music? Do you find that you're picking up on it pretty fast? Do you generally learn things pretty fast? Are you a software engineer? Weirdly enough, that seems to be like a common denominator in a lot of my piano students, especially the ones who really get it and really succeed quickly and easily. But yeah, I've had students who follow kind of the trajectory that I've outlined pretty much to a T. I've had students who just like fly way ahead of it, who in 3 years can play at a advanced level of piano. That would be very uncommon, but I have seen it happen. And then there's also going to be people who need to go just a little bit slower than the standard trajectory here. So anyways, that gives you a sense of what the piano classes are, the leveling, and how you might approximate what level you're playing at. In each individual classes page, I've tried to give examples of okay, if you're a grade 1, here's a grade 1 piece to give you a sense of like, okay, how easy is this for you to learn? Are you able to learn this in like a day, or does it take you 1 or 2 weeks or whatever? And that'll give you a better sense of if it's the right level for you or if it's too easy or too hard. So that's just, again, trying to take out as much of the mystery from this as humanly possible. But let's talk about what the lessons actually entail. So if you sign up for a class, what do you get? You get 26 lessons. So 26 weeks of lessons where you're being given the equivalent of roughly like 30 minutes of video content. The vast majority of those videos are going to be original. They're not something that I've already done on Piano TV. Every now and then I do draw from Piano TV stuff. If there's, if we're talking about Mozart, I'm going to pull in one of my old Mozart videos that I've done on the channel. But for the most part, it's original videos, tutorials on concepts that you're learning in your pieces, tutorials on how to play those pieces. We do, depending on what level you are, lots of music theory, lots of compositional type exercises for the higher levels, but all in the context of the pieces that you're learning. So I try to always teach theory in a way that makes sense with your music. And for those of you who have been following this channel for a while, you should know, because that's how I've done tutorials in the past. But if we're learning about C major scale, we're also learning how to play a C major scale in the context of a piece. Or if we're learning A minor scale, we're also working on a piece that's in the key of A minor. A lot of the times that's going to be the case. If we're learning staccatos, you're not going to be learning that in the abstract. You're going to be applying that to a piece that you're actually learning staccatos with. So almost every lesson is going to include a piece to learn or multiple selections. If you're in the early classes, you're not going to get multiple selections for the most part. In the A class, everyone learns the same stuff. In the B class, there are a few weeks where you have a couple options. You can choose your own adventure. And that gives you the option to access more modern repertoire that you would have to pay for. Not everyone's going to want to do that at that level, but I wanted to provide that option. And then starting in grade 1, you have multiple weeks that you have like 2 to 3 options of pieces. Some weeks you're going to do the same pieces as everyone else. But other weeks you're going to get a bit of a choice and you can kind of choose your own adventure there. It's all going to be applicable. And that's true with grade 2 as well. And then by the time you get to grade 3, you're going to have some pieces that all the class does together. And then when you have supplemental pieces, you're going to have a huge list of choices. So basically from the beginner level to grade 3, which are the classes that I've created so far, each step along the way, your choices for what you're doing each week increases. And it's quite a dramatic increase when you get to grade 3. About half the pieces you choose are going to be from a long list of 12, 15 plus pieces. So you're going to be given the repertoire if it's public domain, but I do require in the upper grades especially you to purchase a few books because copyright. It's important to support artists. Just as a prof would expect you to buy books for class, I would expect you to buy a few piano books for our classes as well. That's not true in the lower grades though. You don't need to buy any books in Prep A and Prep B unless you want to. There's an option for that in Prep B. And I provide all the music that's public domain for you. So not only do I provide PDFs whenever possible, I also provide MuseScore files of each individual piece. So that means basically that you have the ability to hit the play button and have like a progress bar on what piece of music that you're learning. You can adjust the tempo. You could make it really slow. You could make it faster. You could work on just a few bars at a time. It's a nice way to get kind of instant feedback when you're practicing. Like if you need to listen to a measure 20 times in a row to understand the rhythm of it, you're able to do that kind of thing with MuseScore. So it's a really useful tool. It's free as well, so that's provided with every lesson. In addition to the repertoire, in addition to the files, like the repertoire files that you're going to be given, you're also going to be given a weekly lesson plan and checklist. So the lesson plan is basically like an outline of everything that's happening to keep you organized in 1 week of classes. So it's going to tell you your repertoire assignment, how to practice it, some tips. It's going to tell you what technique exercises you're going to be working on. It's going to tell you what the sight reading exercises are. It's going to tell you if there's any method book stuff that you could optionally work on the side. And it's going to give some suggestions on how many minutes or hours this week of piano practice is probably going to take. In addition to that, we have the checklists. And the checklist is the way to sort of make it, you don't have to think about how to practice at all, because you print off a checklist. It gives you 6 days of practice. And each day, in a very granular way, it tells you exactly what to practice in order to, move through the courses, learn what you need to learn, etc. I'll literally write like 10 minutes working on line 1 to 4 of this piece that you're doing this week. 5 minutes sight reading, 5 minutes technique. It's all broken down to you. So a lot of people find benefit from that. Some people find that that's overkill, but I want to provide it because I do think some people find it useful. And we're still going here with the resources for every lesson. There's a weekly sight reading assignment. There's actually 5. So every day you can do 1 line of sight reading, and there's going to be one of those included for every week of your lessons. And there's technique exercises for every week of your lessons. Again, I provide the sheet music and the MuseScore files for all of these to work with. So that's pretty much it for the resources: your lesson videos, lesson plans, checklists, sight reading, technique exercises, and of course the repertoire that you're going to be working on every week. Now, finally, you're going to not only be going through the content, but you'll have the opportunity to record your pieces that you're working on and share them with the group to receive feedback. So we do weekly feedback sessions where I select some recordings from your class. I give commentary on all of them, and then it's a good way to all kind of come together and experience some camaraderie, build relationships with the people that you're going to be learning music with for 7 or 8 months, which also means that you have forum access. I have a private forum just for my piano students. It's not hosted on social media or anything like that, and that's the hub where you're going to be able to share your recordings, ask questions, communicate with others in the group, and so on. Anyway, they're a lot of fun. Please check out the pages below. Join a waitlist. You can see which will be more up your alley. Always feel free to contact me if you have any questions about the classes or things like that, but everything is going to be detailed in each individual page. I hope you'll join us. These classes tend to fill up depending on the class. Some tend to have, on the lower end, maybe 30 participants. On the upper end, maybe about 60. So they're pretty active. There's a lot of people who do it. It's a lot of fun and a great way to learn piano, and in a way that isn't solitary, in a way that you get to share the journey with others and also receive feedback from a piano teacher. So take a look at it. I hope you'll join us this year. It'll be a lot of fun. And thank you so much for watching today's video. I'll catch you in the next one.